There is a brand new Hunger Games film that just hit theaters this weekend, and I'm really excited to talk about this one because is this another case of the Fantastic Beasts films where it's just gonna dwindle off after the first good one? Or is this actually a really good film that has a promising start to another prequel series? Let's find out in the review. What is going on, film fans? It is Brad from Let's Brad, and today on the channel, I want to talk to you guys about the brand new dystopian action film called The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is directed by Francis Lawrence, who you may know has directed all of the Hunger Games films besides the first one, which was directed by Gary Ross, as the film stars Tom Blyth, Rachel Zegler, Viola Davis, Jason Schwartzman, and Peter Dinklage. So going into this film, I was really nervous about checking it out, as I thought that this could be another Fantastic Beasts situation, but with this movie being so interesting is the stacked cast, which the Hunger Games are known for having a really big cast, where you have the likes of Viola Davis and Peter Dinklage, who are massive A-listers starring in this film. I had a little bit more hope going into it, and when the reviews for this film came out, they were very mixed, and I didn't get a chance to go to the early screening on the Monday night, but when I finally got to see this at the Thursday pre-shows, I gotta say that I was actually really invested in this film. One of the biggest reasons for this is that the trailers for this film don't really give away the plot of the film, which is a rarity in today's cinema. I just enjoyed the fact that I could just go into this film, not really know what the plot is about, and to have it be sort of different from the other Hunger Games movies, I was really invested in it, and I really wanted to see where this film was going to go, and that is easily one of the best strengths of this film. So let's just dive right into the positives themselves, and I do have to start, as always, with the performances. Tom Blyth, who plays the young Coriolanus Snow, is actually really great in this film, and I thought he was a perfect choice, even though he looks a lot like Jude Law. Like, is that me? But in any case, he was great in this film, and I really enjoyed his performance. I thought he was the perfect casting, and I also really enjoyed Rachel Zegler, who has been one of the best up-and-coming stars of the 2020s, and I think her chemistry with Tom Blyth was excellent. I really enjoyed the scenes that they had together. Peter Dinklage and Viola Davis are great, as they always are, and they are really good in this film, and they definitely don't phone it in. Like, they actually put a lot of effort into these characters, and they actually play a pretty important part to this film, and I really enjoyed seeing him in this film, and I think you should be too. But the biggest standout for me was Jason Schwartzman, as he was great in this movie. I really love him as an actor, and I'm so glad that he's getting the opportunity to be in such a big movie franchise like this, because, you know, he's mostly in really small indie films like Wes Anderson, and he is just really great. And so seeing him in this movie and being the biggest standout really just proves how great Jason Schwartzman actually is. One of my favorite aspects about this film is the tone, as this movie is very serious, very dramatic. A lot of the other type young adult novels like the Twilight series and so on and so forth really go for that basic love dynamic that just doesn't really work, and the Hunger Games movies did dive into this a little bit, especially in the Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2, but this movie sort of refrains from doing that as much, and I found the movie just to be more interesting in that way, because it dives more into the Hunger Games in itself, and how people don't really care about the Hunger Games anymore, and that the people running the games are trying to make it more interesting, and you get to see all the old technology that they had back then, and when you can compare it to the movies, you know, later on, where they have such better technology and all the money behind it. I thought it was really interesting. This movie did an awesome job of really focusing in on District 12 and really seeing the people and how the world works in District 12 and all the different, you know, businesses and factories, which we don't really get a lot of in the Hunger Games movies, which I always thought was a bit of a negative for me. But this one dives more into that, and I got a better sense of how each of these districts actually run and how people actually feel about things and how you can compare it to our current world. The cinematography is simply excellent, as the cinematography for pretty much all of these films from number 2 on has been terrific. I truly love the darkened look. There's a lot of great shots in this movie, especially during the Hunger Games action, where most of the action is actually shot in one long scene, which was really cool, and it was not bogged down by editing, and it was really enjoyable to watch. I wish there was more of this action because it was actually handled extremely well. I just think Francis Lawrence is the right director for this series, and that's why these movies really did as well as they did. And if they end up doing another prequel film, I think you have to have Francis Lawrence back at the helm. I also really enjoyed the production design and the costumes, as they are really good and you do feel like you are in this world. Unfortunately, this film does have quite a few negatives here, and I do have to go with some of the dialogue in this film, as this has been an issue that I've had with every single Hunger Games film. The things that they're explaining to the audience are not complex at all. It's not really hard, and it just became really annoying when it talks down to the audience. While this film does it less than the other films, especially the Mockingjay movies, I still found it really annoying, and it just is not really necessary for these type of movies. This movie clocks in around 2 hours and 37 minutes or so, give or take. And I did think this movie was a little too long. There is a certain section of the film that just goes on for so long, and it just could have been cut down by so much because there's just not a lot happening. It does feel sort of repetitive. And one of my final negatives I do have with this film is with the last 15 minutes, where it is everything that I did not want with the film all collapse in this like 15 to 20 minute segment, where it's just trying to set up other movies, all the corporate bad stuff that I just cannot stand with franchise movies that are just trying to make money. And that's all it felt. It was completely rushed. Everything in those 15-20 minutes could have been in its own movie and could have been easily extended, but they just pack everything down and cut it all up so it can all fit, and it just didn't really work for me. Overall, guys, The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was a really solid entry in the Hunger Games franchise, with such a great score and sound design and really big epic nature to it. Considering that the film costs only $100 million when this movie could have been easily more money, just goes to show that this movie was financed very well. It has really good performances. So if you guys are big fans, you probably are going to see it. You probably don't even really care. But if you're on the fence, go check it out, especially with the Thanksgiving season coming up. It is something to watch at the theaters, and I think you'll enjoy it. I'm giving The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes a 6 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for checking out this review. As I want to know below in the comment section, have you seen this film? Have you read the novel? And how would you rank all of the Hunger Games films? I can't wait to hear all about it. Before you guys check out this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, as you always should, and ring that notification bell so I can see you all in the following video.